So early in the year, I broke my microphone and didn't really know why. I recently just found out why. During a stream in December last year, I found out who had the broadcasting rights to the Euros in the States. Quick warning, lower your volume. Oh, look at that, guys. Fox Sports! Fox Sports! Entering the September window, Scotland had a commanding lead in Group A. The Scots only played Cyprus this month and earned an easy 3 points to get that much closer to qualifying for Euro 2024, which leaves us looking at the battle for second between everyone besides Cyprus. Georgia and Norway were tied on points, however Georgia still had a game in hand. Right below them though was Spain, who had 2 games in hand. Georgia was keen on maintaining their spot against Spain at home. However, the Spaniards had other thoughts and scored 7 past the Georgians in their own backyard. And see this guy here? That's Lamine Yamal, and he just scored for Spain at 16 years old. Spain continued this insane goal-scoring form with 6 against poor old Cyprus to finish the window with all 6 points. Meanwhile, the Georgians were schooled by an 18-year-old Antonio Nusa in Oslo. The winger created 2 assists for Erling Haaland and Martin Ødegaard as Norway cruised to a huge 2-1 win. So as it stands, Scotland is 1 more win away from qualifying for the tournament. They could have qualified this month, but Georgia lost to Norway. Spain jump into second, and they still have another game in hand, which is definitely not what Erling Haaland and Norway want to see, as they have no way of advancing to the playoffs. If Norwegians want to have any chance of qualifying, they have to beat Spain next month. One nation that does have a way into the playoffs is Georgia, so even though this window was one to forget, not all hope is lost. Same can't be said about Cyprus though, who still have 0 points. In Group B, France was dominating, having not conceded a single goal so far. Their only qualifier this month was against Ireland, where Aurelio Tchouameni whipped out a firecracker from outside the box. The French would end up winning 2-0. If missing generational striker Evan Ferguson wasn't bad enough, the Irish also had to play the Dutch in this window. Things started well though, as Ireland converted a penalty in the 5th minute, but eventually the soul-crushing fate of reality set in and Ireland lost 2-1. The Netherlands had one other game against Greece where they laid down the law and won 3-0. Nonetheless, Greece bounced back with a 5-0 takedown of Gibraltar, who still have 0 points. As it stands, France remain undefeated and unbreakable, at least in qualifiers, while the battle for the other automatic spot between the Dutch and the Greeks is getting close. Even though the Netherlands have a game in hand, they will have to play Greece in the next window, away from home. Meanwhile, sitting in 4th is Ireland, whose golden generation had their fans dream for about 3 nanoseconds before shitting the bed. Group C, England was having a comfy little slumber at the top, while Ukraine, Italy, and North Macedonia all were bickering with one another. Ukraine started this window by grabbing a big point against an underwhelming English side. Then a few hours later, North Macedonia would play Italy. Before this window though, North Macedonia's national team was in shambles. Firstly, this was the pitch on match day. Also, their head coach was rumored to be sacked after the embarrassment in Manchester, but ultimately nothing happened. It doesn't stop there, however, as multiple key players lacked fitness because they weren't even at a club. And on top of all this, due to poor relations with the coach, Captain Stefan Ristovski straight up refused to be called up. And Italy still couldn't beat them. This is truly the gift that keeps on giving. The two would go on to end their windows with a win each though. Italy defeated Ukraine 2-1 and then North Macedonia scraped past Malta 2-0. If Group C wasn't already looking close, now we have 3 teams tied for second with 7 points. Italy has a game in hand though, but yeah. One really good matchup you'll want to look out for next month is Ukraine versus North Macedonia. This matchup is ginormous for both teams looking to qualify. For once, I can say something different to introduce a group. Group D was looking really close before this window. Turkey have done well so far and find themselves group leaders. Their best friends Armenia are surprising many in this qualification campaign and are just 3 points behind with a game in hand. However, you can't count out Croatia, who had 2 games in hand. The window began with Croatia taking one of those games and slapping the ever-living shit out of Latvia. Then, finally, we got to witness the long-awaited geopolitical top-of-the-table clash between Armenia and Turkey. And even before kickoff, things were off to an insane start as the Armenian anthem could not even be heard due to Turkish fans whistling. While players were trying to kill each other and fans were throwing shit on the pitch.
Oh my God! What in the... Mama, come get it! Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, grab the girl hand. Oh Lord, you are...
Turkey and Armenia were creating many chances. Turkey had the best of the chances in the first half, but they were either stopped by the Armenian keeper or their own players. And thanks to Turkey's midfield being non-existent for whatever reason, it meant Armenia had so much space to work with. If that wasn't bad enough, Turkey's defense was making more mistakes than Aaron Hologramsdale, and Armenia capitalized in the 49th minute. Nonetheless, Turkey kept seeking more opportunities throughout the second half, and then finally, after a little luck, scored a late equalizer. And so, in the end, after an intense match between two nations that absolutely fucking hate each other, it ends with both sharing points. For Turkish fans, this was an embarrassment, but for Armenian fans, they were more than happy to take a point away. Armenia's fortunes weren't as great in their next qualifier at home though, as they lost 1-0 to Croatia. Meanwhile, Wales, who have been in an identity crisis since Bale's retirement, earned their second victory of the campaign against Latvia. Things are getting even more interesting in Group D. Croatia with the game in hand and Turkey are tied for the top, and don't think the top of the table clashes are over because these two face each other next month. 3 points behind them are Armenia and Wales, who are both tied with 7 points. Latvia may have made history in the Basketball World Cup, but it's the complete opposite in football as they have now been officially eliminated. Another group that was pretty tight going into September was Group E. Czech Republic was placed first, but breathing down their necks was Albania. This month the two played in a top of the table clash where it would end 1-1. Moldova had just come off shocking everyone by beating Poland and were placed third. They continue their impressive campaign with a 1-0 win away in the Faroe Islands. Speaking of fourth place Poland, they were in dire need of a good window. Poland kicked off September by playing the Faroe Islands, and they can thank some Faroese misfortune for bailing them out. Albania awaited them next, and the Eagles stunned Poland 2-0 through one of the best goals scored in qualifiers so far from Yasir Asani, and another strike later in the 62nd minute from Mirlin Daku. This win for Albania takes them to the top as they eye a return to the Euros for the first time in nearly 8 years. However, the Czech Republic still have a game in hand, and right behind them is Moldova, who have nothing to lose in the fight for their first ever European Championship berth, while Poland still sit fourth as they continue to underwhelm to magnificent lengths. Fernando Santos was the man behind these recent disaster classes and insisted he would not resign. Well, that's not really up to you now, is it? Group F had Austria as the surprise leaders going into September. Belgium with a game in hand were 3 points behind, and Sweden were just hanging in there. The Red Devils had a pretty easy window as they beat both Azerbaijan and Estonia. Sweden, at this point of the stage, had been quite underwhelming and needed to get things up and running, especially if they wanted to keep their hopes alive. They beat Estonia 5-0, but then a huge dent was put in their chances after losing 3-1 at home to Austria. With the Swedes 7 points behind second place Austria, it may very well be Sweden. Meanwhile, Belgium and Austria are getting much closer to clinching a berth to Euro 2024. Group G's top spot was shared by Hungary and Serbia going into September. The two played each other in Belgrade, where Serbia went 1-0 up thanks to a Hungarian own goal. But then Hungary snapped back with 2 goals back-to-back in the 34th and 36th to take all 3 points. Not exactly the result the Serbs wanted, but they did well to rebound as Alexander Mitrovic scored a hat-trick against Lithuania. Montenegro were just 3 points off a qualification spot, and with games against Lithuania and Bulgaria, this was a perfect opportunity to sneak in. 144th ranked in the world, Lithuania didn't just stand there and die, however, as they drew first blood in the 71st minute. But no need to fear Montenegrins, as Nikola Krstic scores the equalizer 7 minutes later. Then in the 89th minute, Stefan Savic completes the comeback. But Lithuania refused to die, and in the 4th minute of stoppage time, Fedor Cernic sends a beauty into the net. The game ends 2-2, and at the death, Montenegro blow a massive opportunity. They did manage to beat Bulgaria in another very dramatic match, but had the Montenegrins not let it slip, they could have been top of the group. Instead, though, they find themselves third, 2 points below Hungary and Serbia, who are tied at the top with 10 points each. Group H is easily the most entertaining of them all. Between first place Finland and 4th place Slovenia is just 2 points, and only Kazakhstan is able to advance to the playoffs, which will only see this group get more intense with every passing month. Group leaders Finland started their September with a match in Kazakhstan. Quantumania was so ass and the epitome of everything wrong with Marvel currently, so Ant-Man decided to transcend the planes of reality to redeem himself.
Thank you, Spider-Man!
Kazakhstan didn't let that result ruin their mood though. Against Northern Ireland, they did what they do best, score nothing but insane goals to overcome the odds. Denmark had a pretty underwhelming campaign up to this point. However, the Danes did well this window to breathe new life into their campaign. Denmark beat San Marino 4-0 thanks to a hat-trick of assists from Christian iOS Eriksson, and then they followed that up with a 1-0 win against Nordic rivals Finland to earn all 6 points. Another team to earn all 6 points this window was Slovenia. They beat Northern Ireland 4-2 and then San Marino 4-0. With With those two wins, it now sees Slovenia at the top of Group H after the September window. Not only is this great for the team's hopes of qualifying, this also raises hopes and spirits of a nation that just suffered its worst ever natural disaster a month ago. Tied with them though is the other team that had a perfect window in Denmark, while Finland and Kazakhstan are just 1 point behind them. With just 2 windows to go, this group you will want to keep an eye on. Group I saw a battle for the top spot between Switzerland, Romania, and Israel. Switzerland had a visit to Kosovo to begin their September, and in the 14th minute, Remo Freuler sneaks a ball into the net. However, underdogs Kosovo take advantage of the Swiss falling asleep in the back, and Vedat Muriqi equalizes. 79 minutes played now, Remo Freuler with another strike, and with help of Amir Rahmani, Switzerland regained their lead. But just when you thought the Swiss had 3 points in the bag, Kosovo plays some beautiful football on the box and equalized with seconds left to play. Yet another team lets it slip this window while Kosovo give themselves a lifeline. Switzerland though did manage to finish the window with a win as they beat Andorra in comfortable fashion. Kosovo on the other hand had a trip to Bucharest. Now, I didn't really pay attention to this match, but the moment I saw this status on Google, I knew exactly what happened. And what did happen, you may ask? Well, if you didn't know, in the Balkans, everyone hates each other. And before the match, there was a hateful banner held up by Romanian ultras saying Kosovo is Serbia, while many others in the stadium were chanting Serbia, Serbia. Kosovan players refused to play unless the banner was taken down, but the weirdo ultras refused to take it down. So the match was suspended for a bit. Eventually, players returned to the pitch and Romania would go on to win 2-0. Romania had one other match this window against Israel where the two shared points. Israel played Belarus in this window, and just like the last encounter, they left it to the final minutes to score a winner. As it stands, the points have increased between the top 3, but it's still the same difference. Switzerland and Romania hold on to the 2 qualification spots while Israel is just below them. Israel is able to advance through the playoffs, so even if they don't qualify automatically, there's another avenue. And a quick shout out to Andorran Ildefons Lima, who officially retired at the age of 43. He's the oldest player to appear in a Euro qualifier and also has the longest international career at 26 years. Finally, we have Group J, where Portugal has, as expected, dominated. Slovakia have done well to keep up, however, as they're also unbeaten so far. Then there's Luxembourg, who over just a decade ago were 148th in the world. For the longest time, they have been one of the oldest national teams to have not qualified for a major tournament. That could finally change, however, especially after their 3-1 triumph against Iceland to begin the month. But then they had to face Portugal, and I'm not really sure why, but every time Luxembourg face Portugal, no matter how much they've improved, their defense becomes the equivalent of Ashley Madison's security before 2015. Portugal, by the way, continued their impressive streak under Roberto Martinez, but don't get too excited, Portuguese fans. Belgians have seen this exact same picture numerous times. Slovakia may have suffered their first defeat, but fortunately for them, they were able to beat up on Liechtenstein. They scored 3 within the first 6 minutes and then probably felt bad afterwards. Bosnia and Herzegovina also beat Liechtenstein, but a loss to Iceland sees their chances of automatically qualifying dwindle. Looking at the table now, Portugal has extended its lead at the top. Slovakia hold on to second, and despite having a -9 goal differential, Luxembourg is just 3 points behind them. And that was your Euro Qualifiers September review. With 2 more months to go before we go into the playoff rounds, it's only gonna get more insane, and this channel will cover it all. But if you're a native of one of these European countries, how are you feeling right now? Good? Bad? Horrible? Wanting to die? But of course, a massive shout out to all our patrons, including Janos Barash, Stin, Miliway009, Adazir Makalangkom, Aldipu, Alex Rod, Ulta, Aresan, Kalasanaya, Daniel Ortiz, Francisco Hernandez, Hysteria, Ilea, Josh Budd, Marco Fujimoto, Miguel Munoz, Return Fire, Rory Burns, Slidakit, Sniffrix, Taco Okafan, Tana Permilia, Celine Khan, Tomicus, Victor, Chris Damasceno, Chris Visconti, Q-Snatty Champs 2022, Lewis, Joe Paricio, Lucian Von Croix, Michael Nista, Niche, Patrick Barley, Rowan Cookie, Sylvia Citrus, subscribe to Tende Tim, Unbroken Persona, and Valencia 14. If you'd like to join the Patreon, there'll be a link down below and up in the annotations. You can follow my Twitter if you want, follow my Instagram if you want, follow my TikTok. Yeah, you can follow my TikTok. And of course, you can follow my semi-active Twitch. But until then, I'll see you guys.